Hi everyone, this is Freddie with Superbike Unlimited, and we're going to go ahead and start with the Superbike project that we've been showing you guys. And the first step with this BMW is we're going to see how much it weighs. So right now we've got everything set up over here in the corner of the shop. This is our corner balancing or 1% scales that we use for setting up cars, but it's also really helpful for getting an accurate weight for motorcycle stuff. Go. All right, just try to balance it as best you can. Starting weight is 425, which is pretty impressive. So that's our starting point with only a slip on, otherwise a completely stock bike. So we'll see where we end up. Alright, so as you've seen, we've gotten the bike completely torn down, and essentially what we're working with now is just an engine inside a frame. So we're going to begin with doing some of our chassis components right away, and we'll just take you over here and kind of walk you through what's going to be next. So obviously here we have our Suter Swingarm, and this swingarm is going to be a proper World Superbike swingarm. This is exactly the same unit that the factory BMW team is using on World Superbike, and it comes with some really notable changes. So we're just going to go over some of that. It takes a little bit of work to make this fit to an otherwise standard motorcycle, so we're just going to cover some of that now and help you kind of understand the reason for some of those things. So a big part of the change here and how this thing is going to help, not only just in the design of the actual swing arm and its improvements in overall stiffness and flex and that kind of thing. We're going to be radically changing the way the shock absorber works. So with this swing arm comes several new linkage components that are completely different. And what we'll probably do is I'll open up a chassis software that I use called MotoSpec, and we'll just compare basically stock bikes with essentially a fully stock motorcycle and a stock motorcycle, other than the fact that we'll put the numbers for this swing arm in and kind of just show you the differences. But the key thing is the standard shock absorber on the S1000 has a really long length and stroke. I want to say the stock length, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's somewhere around 360, and the stroke is like 75 or 80 millimeters. So most motorcycle shocks, the maximum stroke is like 50 millimeters. So it's a completely different design on this new bike. And also, as a result of that greater stroke value and overall length, the linkage is really different. So it moves relatively quickly, and there's just kind of some different things happening there versus what you see on most setups. So when we go to this configuration here with this linkage and this swing arm, it actually necessitates using a more conventional setup on the shock absorber. Another thing, with a standard S1000RR swing arm and linkage, you'll be surprised to see that a lot of the spring rates that are used in the shock are much lighter than normal. So like a guy that normally runs like a 9.5 or a 10 spring, which is a pretty, normal number that a lot of people are used to seeing, on this thing, he's going to be running something that might be in like the 50s, like a 58 or 53 or something like that. So totally different configuration. So when we run to this, we're actually going to be going back to like a standard 50 millimeter stroke shock, and something that's going to be in the 320s in terms of overall length. So much more traditional length and stroke. And the reason for that is just to basically give the motorcycle better grip and feel on the throttle. So again, I'll see if we can find a way to cleanly maybe capture some footage on the screen or something, and I'll show you how we use MotoSpec to calculate these things and just show you how it works differently. But anyway, on to the actual hardware. So we have, this is obviously the swing arm. We're going to be using this caliper here, which is a proper MotoGP or World Superbike specification rear caliper, super lightweight unit. It's got titanium pistons. You can probably see them in there. They're gold. We actually have a nice caliper bracket around here somewhere. I'll have to find that. But this is all stuff that comes with the swing arm. These are just the carbon fiber lift kit. Allows you to use a spooled swing arm stand. And then this is going to be our actual all new Alpha Racing factory BMW pivot kit. So this is just allowing us to have a much broader range of adjustment with the swing arm pivot. So it gives us any number of combinations of up and down, but also fore and aft. So outside of that, this is actually just going to go on the outside of this spacer / bearing race here. This is just allows us to properly space this inside the frame. It goes like that, and then there's several shims here that are provided to just perfectly space that, so we get the clearance just so. And then we'll just show you a little bit more here. This is a little dowel that we're going to use inside the stock frame, and then we'll take this over here. So the standard pivot and adjuster setup, which is actually adjustable on this model, which is an M package, and also on that one, which is not the M package, but has forged wheels, and it may be adjustable on all of them. Those are the only ones we've had so far, are either M models or at least the forged wheel version. So essentially, it's already adjustable from the factory. There's 3 different adjustments, and the factory adjuster goes back here, and there's a bolt that threads into that unit right here. So this is all going to be completely eliminated with this new Suter configuration and Alpha Racing pivot adjustment set. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually drive this in. It's already a pretty close fit, but it's going to require a little bit of tapping in just to make sure it doesn't fall out. You can kind of see the idea there. Yeah, we're going to have to tap that in. But and then once that goes in, we're going to be able to use this guy. And as you can see, that dowel is essentially just going to allow us to place that. And this will give us a really rapid way to change things. So we can just loosen everything up, pull this out just a touch, rotate it, and put it back in, and it's going to retain everything and hold it exactly where it's supposed to. So it's a pretty nice setup. So next, we're going to just start test fitting everything. There is going to be some work involved in making all of this go on. So aside from everything we've already talked about with having to use a different shock absorber, which regarding the shock, we were originally planning on using a TTX and modifying it. We've actually decided to go with a proper World Superbike spec shock, so that's going to be coming in soon. We're excited to show you that. That's you may have seen that on our ZX10 project, but It's called an Öhlins RSP40, and it's a very nice piece. So outside of that, we also have some other stuff that's going to be going on here. The distance from here to here is much wider in this Suter Swingarm versus a standard BMW Swingarm. Oh, and there's our brake hanger, by the way. Completely didn't notice that's already installed, so you can see that here. Anyway, so as a result of this spacing, this means that there has to be several modifications made to the wheel. So essentially what we're going to have to do, this is our wheel. On the brake side here, we're going to have to get some special spacers. So the first one is going to be a unit that's going to replace this piece here. This holds our brake disc as well as the speed sensor ring or reluctor ring or whatever you'd like to call it. And so essentially we're going to have to get a much thicker one of these, or one that's going to offset this quite a bit. I think about 30 millimeters. And the same thing here. We're going to have to use completely different wheel spacers, left and right, because it actually shifts the wheel a bit. And so all this is stuff that we're working on now. We're actually going to have to get these custom made. Fortunately, Suter has already come up with a solution for the wheel, so we're not going to have to fabricate that. It would have been kind of a complicated piece to make and probably pretty expensive. So we're going to just order the actual disc spacer from Suter, and we're just going to make the wheel spacer. Shouldn't be too much trouble. We'll probably get those done by Fast Frank or Steve at Evol Technologies makes those things as well. So I think that's all we have for now. Like I say, I'll try to give you guys a more clear explanation and some more details on exactly how that other linkage works and the difference between stock, but I think you get the general idea. And next we'll have some footage for you guys of us mocking all this stuff up and moving forward. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.